Is the frequency in use. Is heard. If you do have an emergency, call 911. Net may be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic. For information on this net, you can see us right now on YouTube, which is, you can just look it up in the YouTube search block. My call, K4PEW, or the word Brain Trust, BRAINTRUSTS. One word, all one word. Brain and Trusts put together. Or you can see us on our, where else? Oh, in the web. You can just look us up under 146.415.net, 146.415.net, very similar to our frequency. You can also see us on our I'll get it right yet, groups.io site. It's GROUPS.India Oscar. And just look up the term MJSS, Mike Juliet Sierra Sierra, for Mountain Juliet Simplex Society. I think it might be under a ham radio category, but you can just look it up under MJSS. Easiest way to find it. Or you can send me an email, k4pew@arrl.net. The net normally meets at 8 p.m. every Wednesday and Saturday night on 146.415 FM Simplex. Unless you're off frequency, that'd be hard to miss. The purpose of the net is to have fun. Figure out who you can hear, who you can't hear. You can see on the screen here, if you're looking at YouTube, you can see what your signal strength is to me and what other people's signal strength is. And you can even hear people through the YouTube site that you can't hear necessarily from your own station, just to get a better understanding of someone else's, where they are and where they're situated, and try to figure it all out. And it is fun to figure out. I know I spent a great deal of time in the last 586 nets prior to this one figuring it out. We're thinking about it anyway. And tonight is number 587, and we're starting from the west. And let's see, of course we do, and I'm not finished yet. The purpose of net is support and have fun each other. Figure out what we're doing and help each other out. We are in an email group, helps out a lot with distribution of questions and ideas and equipment. And let me see where I was headed from here. Oh yeah, announcements. Tonight's announcements are tomorrow night. Well, tonight we have a 2-meter net followed by the 10-meter net on 28.415. 28.415. That's immediately following the 2-meter net. And tomorrow night is the Bowling Green net at 7:30 p.m. on 146.430. That's 146.430 at 7:30. And then at 8 o'clock is the Wilson County Amateur Radio Club's net on 147.105 with a plus offset of 156.7. Does anybody have any questions about the announcements or what we're going to do? Very good. A wonderful world of silence at the moment out there. We do the lightning round check-in, so we check everybody in first. You can hang around and listen to the conversation, of which we have any. I'll announce what we're going to talk about tonight, or at least ask questions about if we can, after we finish the lightning round. And of course, the lightning round, we just want to hear your call, your name, your name and your location, town, city, crossroads you're in. So that's your call, your name, and your location. So we'll start taking check-ins from the west, unless anybody has any clarifications or questions about announcements. Nothing heard. Well, we'll start taking check-ins, and we're taking it from the west of Mount Juliet. Please come now.
K4IDC mobile.
All right, you became west. Robin, very good. Good to have you in there. It's Robin, Kilo 4 India Delta Charlie. He's in Hermitage, just south of me, about 5 miles off of Percy Priest Lake. Who else is west of Mount Juliet?
Mobile.
Ah, you're mobile. That's why I didn't hear you say that. Sorry about that, Robin. Who else is west? Please come on.
KG4CXE.
KG4CXE. KG4CXE, and that's Chris over in Donaldson. Who else is west? Good to have you in there, Chris.
KN4TJF.
KN4TJF. You've got an excellent signal tonight. Sounds good. Sounds like it's going to be a good 2-meter night. That's Rick, and that's Kilo November 4 Tango Juliet Foxtrot. He's over in Ashland City. Who else is west?
KM4. Wow.
KM4. It's Kilo Mike 4 Yankee Romeo Foxtrot. That's Michael in Belshire, good to have you in there, Michael. Send Mary a text if you don't mind. Who else is west? Please come now.
Whiskey 4, Alpha Whiskey Echo.
Ah, very good. An early check-in for John in Bellevue. That's Whiskey 4 Alpha Whiskey Echo. Good to have you in there, John. Who else is west?
Kilo Golf 4, India Lima Victor, Jack and Donaldson.
Ah, very good, Jack in Donaldson. That's Kilo Golf 4 India Lima Victor. Good to have you in there. Who else? All right, moving down to the south.
Kilo Mike 4, November Yankee, Bill Murfreesboro.
Ah, very good, Bill. Bill, good to have you in there. That's Kilo Mike 4, November Yankee. Nice clear signal as always. That's Bill in Murfreesboro. Who else south?
KK Kilo Golf 4, Whiskey X-Ray Uniform. Jerry down here, Southern Hills.
Okay, hold on, Jerry. I kind of got a double in there, but I think I heard was KK4. Is it UTS? Was that Carl over there in Gladeville?
Yeah, right to that. Carl, KK4 UTS, Carl Glayville on the HT in the driveway.
Ah, HT in the driveway. Coming in clear to me, but I'm sure you're not coming in clear to everyone else. It's Kilo 4, Uniform Tango Sierra. And I think I had Jerry in there. What's your call again, Jerry?
Kilo Golf 4, Whiskey X-Ray Uniform around Southern Hills.
Ah, very good. Jerry in Southern Hills, Kilo Golf 4, Whiskey X-Ray Uniform. Nice signal from Jerry in the Southern Hills. Who else south?
Kilo India 4, November Delta November, David in Readable.
Would you get an amplifier, David? You sound great.
No, sir, I did not. I am on high power. I just crimped the modular jack on the mic end of this radio.
Ah, no, it sounds great. This is a good night for 2 meters because everybody sounds really good tonight. Or better than I remember them sounding. Let's qualify that. That's David. He's in Reedyville. That's Kilo India 4 November Delta November. He's also instrumental in managing the Rutherford Aries, which is a monthly Simplex Net on Tuesdays. First Tuesday of the month, isn't it, David?
That's correct. 7:30 p.m. on 146.475. Thank you.
Yeah, 146475. That's first Tuesdays of the month at 7:30 p.m. That's 146.475. Just want to make sure I said that correctly. They do a good job down there at Rutherford on Simplex. Who else? And it's Rutherford, and I think stick Cannon County there too, Cannon County in there too, don't you? Well, I think I dropped him out. He dropped out or didn't hear me. But anyway, they do a good job with Simplex down there in Rutherford. Who else is south? Please come in.
Kilo 4 Oscar Fox Oscar down in Hermitage.
Yeah, very good. Donnie in Hermitage, sounding great. Donnie's also about 5 miles south east of Percy Priest Lake in Hermitage. Kilo 4 Oscar Foxtrot Oscar. Anybody else south?
Kilo Echo 4 Sierra Yankee Victor.
Ah, very good. Good to have you in there, Larry from Rockvale. Kilo Echo 4 Sierra Yankee Victor. Excellent signal as always. Who else was south?
BS.
You're not doing any of that low power stuff again today, are you?
Well, I did a while ago. I didn't have the antenna connected. I didn't hear anybody.
Yeah, I know. I called out to you several times today when you were messing around with that mobile radio. Anyway, that's Eddie in Gladeville. Whiskey 4 Echo Bravo X-Ray. Who else is south? Please come in. All righty. Anybody to the east then? Please come in.
FJ4ZHI, James and Mount Juliet. Oh, SRB.
Hold on. I always got that horse race finish here. This nose finish, the photo finish between James, who's here in Mount Juliet, and it's James Whiskey Alpha 4 Zulu Hotel India, and Richard Kilo India 4 Sierra India Bravo, who's just west of downtown Lebanon. Anybody? Good to have you both in there. And who else is east?
KI4SOR for the easy.
Okay, very good. I got 2 in there. KE4 DEZ, Earl and Noreen, just a little bit east of the Cedars of Lebanon Park, and that's in Noreen. And Kilo India 4 Sierra Oscar Romeo, who is Richard's better half over there near Lebanon. Who else is? Where am I going? South? No, east, please.
Uniform, Stephen.
Hello, Stephen. Stephen, who is over by, if I remember correctly, that's over by 109.
Yes, sir. Between Mount Juliet and Lebanon in Spence Creek.
Yeah, Spence Creek between Mount Juliet and Lebanon. And that's Kilo Oscar 4, Charlie Victor Uniform. Stephen. Good signal, Stephen. Who was there another party in there? Anyone else east?
KB4 RSM, Glen, and East Mount Juliet.
Very good. Yeah, we're gonna have to have the east and then farther east for Mount Juliet when the decade is over. Good to have you in there, Glenn. That's Kilo Bravo 4, Romeo Sierra Mike. Who else? East, please come in. Nobody else east. I got all night. We'll go to north then, north of Mount Juliet.
KB9RKK, Frank in Mount Juliet.
Very good. I got Frank in Mount Juliet, kind of northwest Wilson County. Kilo Bravo 9, Romeo, Kilo. Anybody else north?
Mark, WB0NRO, Northwest Wilson.
You messed me up. You said your name first. And you get me dyslexic doing that. Mark, good to have you in there. That's Kilo Bravo 0, November Oscar. Yeah, we're getting in the groove of doing something. Somebody gives you the name and you go, this call's not Mark. Good to have you in there, Mark. And Mark is up by the weather station, the National Weather Service up in northwest Wilson. Who else is north, please?
And Kilo Oscar 4, Charlie Delta, Papa, David Whitehouse.
All right, David in Whitehouse. We were just up there in Cottontown today. Kilo Oscar 4, Charlie Delta, Papa, and that's David in White House. Good signal, by the way, out of White House. Who else is north?
KN4FAX.
Hello, Otis. Good to have you in there from Hendersonville. That's Kilo November 4, Foxtrot Alpha X-Ray. Hope I sound as good as you do when I'm your age. You sound great. And again, Otis and Hendersonville, Kilo November 4, Foxtrot Alpha X-Ray. Anybody else north? Had a double in there, but Robert in Goodlettsville 1, and that's Kilo November 4, Kilo X-Ray Alpha. Yeah, Kilo, is that correct? Do I have that right?
Roger, Kilo November 4, Kilo X-Ray Alpha. Robert in Goodlettsville.
Yeah, I scribbled the writing, and I couldn't even read my own writing, and I couldn't remember exactly what I wrote. But anyway, Robert in Goodlettsville, Kilo November 4, Kilo X-Ray Alpha, and I think there was a double in it.
Alpha 4, Delta Echo, Daniel, Mount Juliet.
Very good, Daniel. Good to have you in there, too, here in the center of the universe here in Mount Juliet. Alpha 4, Delta Echo. Anybody else north?
KC9 ETS, Paul, Mount Juliet.
Very good. KC9, Echo Tango Sierra. The only other Paul in the group that I'm aware of. And he's here in Mount Juliet. Who else north?
KJ4 GMR and KJ4 HNV. Cottontown. Ray and Zoe.
Yeah, Ray and Zoe, correct? There, Ray?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it sounded something different when you said it. That's why it sounded funny to my ears. But anyway, it's Ray and Zoe in Cottontown, Kilo Juliet 4 Golf Mike Romeo, and Kilo Juliet 4 Hotel November Victor Zoe, both there in Cottontown. Any other check-ins from the north? Well, we're asking for any late check-ins then. Please come in. No more late check-ins. Well, we can have any check. We can check in at any time if you're hanging out there and scared to check in, which you shouldn't be. Please, you're welcome to jump in any time for that. What I wanted to discuss tonight, if we can, I mean, you can discuss anything you want to. They're right by. Anyway, that's 29 people check-ins so far tonight. But what I'd like to talk about is something that's probably near and dear to us. It's in many ways. I remember I went to the first Ham Fest I went to after I got my license. I was down in Tampa, and I went to the mother of all ham clubs down in Tampa was the Tampa Amateur Radio Club, which was started in the 1920s. You know, it's the big club. They got their own clubhouse and a couple acres of property. And I go to the Ham Fest, and all I see is a bunch of guys. Well, that was 15 years ago, but almost everybody at the Ham Fest was older than me. Not that that's so horrible, just old in ham world anyway. It means experienced and knowledge, etc. But I was actually very surprised there wasn't more young people involved. I mean, younger than me. I mean, when I say young people, anywhere from 5 to 30 or 5 to 40. And I would like to hear what I think that Simplex has drawn in some younger people here when we've been doing this net and everyone's participation. But I'm wondering how we can expose more young people to just ham radio, simple level. It's at the simplex level, and I think that's what draws some people in when they're new, and they don't yet have big rigs or big antennas or big radios or big anything. And so I'm just wondering ideas on what we could do to induce more young people to get in ham radio. Any big rushing ideas out there, or have you had success in other areas doing that?
Take down the cell towers. How about that?
Burn down all the cell towers. That'd be a start. Hey, Robin.
So to your point, I don't have any real constructive suggestions for how to encourage young people other than what we've done, but what I ran into at Vanderbilt with my limited experience there is young people have so many more options for their attention these days than they did when you and I were much younger. It's just hard to compete.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to carry around a transceiver when you got a nice smartphone in your hand.
Right. So I think the more esoteric and modes that require a computer are one avenue to encourage that activity. But I'll be honest with you, coming up in the era of single sideband being the dominant mode, single sideband CW, and mostly sideband in my experience, it's hard to compete with guys, with that background in your hip pocket compared to, somebody who's 19 years old and has a smartphone that costs, $400 or $500.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the barriers to it. But I think that I'm willing to bet, I don't have any proof of this, but I think there's a whole world of young people out there that don't have any idea what ham radio is. And I guess that's where I almost think that it would be a big deal to do it. I mean, it would be a big deal. It was almost as if you want to go to the local school boards or the local junior high schools or elementary schools and offer almost like a speakers, offer to have speakers. People come to classrooms or go to auditoriums and, or maybe just small opportunities to get together with interested parties and talk about ham radio and about why it's fun and why it's a lifelong hobby and why it's I was with Wes, who did not check in tonight. I don't think. No, he didn't check in. But we're talking about that today. That I don't know that there's another hobby. And there are other hobbies that are fun to people, but I'm just saying in terms of fun, ham radio can be extraordinarily fun because it's not just the equipment, it's not just the technical aspect of it, it's not just the being able to talk around the world. You meet some of the nicest, fun people in the travels with amateur radio because they have a wide, diverse interests and just a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're right. Fox hunts are a good way to do that too. There was some success, measurable success at Vanderbilt, a couple times a year, hiding a Fox transmitter on campus or near campus, challenging people to find it.
Yeah, and I think that the smartphone crowd took that to the what did they call that one where there was they'd hide it. What do they call those? They were almost like searching out clues and almost like a mystery hunt. What did they call it? I saw them. I haven't seen that in a while.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the term for it right now. Yeah, I didn't like that at all because if I were evil enough to kill somebody, that's how I'd do it.
I don't even remember how it works, so I'm not sure if you're evil. Well, you don't have to be completely evil. You can just be Anyway, I know what you're saying, but I don't remember. Anybody remember what that was called? That hunt that people with smartphones would do, trying to find I forget what it was.
Geocaching.
Geocaching. That was it. Yeah, I think it was a neat thing. I know that a lot of people chase that around. I'm wondering if it faded. All right, nobody's got any information. Does anybody have any ideas? I mean, almost like a speaker's bureau was the word I was looking for, to be able to go to school boards or, like I said, to groups, or even if it's the boys clubs, girls clubs, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, although those are kind of mixed now, I guess, and just talk about that.
The only other thing I can offer, and it's a real whiz bang kind of thing, and it's a rare opportunity, is ham radio contact with the International Space Station. And I was privileged to be a part of one of those at Winford Bryant Middle School several years ago in Lebanon. But that takes a lot of advanced planning and effort on the part of a team, not just one or two people.
Yeah. Plus, it also needs coordination because if the space station's up there, they've got to be on frequency. I mean, they got to schedule that with them, right?
Yeah. And if you go through ordinary channels, there's a year-long process.
Yeah, I'm not sure what all that is. I just think it's unfortunate that we don't have. I guess that the whole idea is we just don't have. Not that not having young people doesn't make it any less fun. I just think it's a great opportunity for interested people who see the interest in ham radio to take. I'm guessing that I'm saying that probably 95% of young people have no idea what ham radio is. And over the years, I've heard people say, "What is that antenna for?" And you tell them, they go, "Huh, they're still doing that," and they just don't have any clue. That's adults.
Yep. Comment.
Yeah, go ahead, comment. That's who's that, Donnie?
Yeah, I think a lot of young people is going to be getting into ham radio, it looks like, are going to be going toward the digital side of it because that seems to fascinate them more than just getting on the radio and rag chewing like a lot of us do.
You may be right, and I think you're probably right. In fact, the digital is, in some ways, is better right now because the signals are getting through a lot easier than voice. So in some ways, it's a big benefit because if you've done any digital, you know what I'm saying. And you found that to be true too, haven't you, Don?
Well, I'm seeing my own grandson. He's the one that talked me into getting into this thing 2 or 3 years ago. But he's into it more for the digital end of it than he is anything. He doesn't care a thing about talking on the radio, but as far as doing the digitals and all of that stuff, he's head over heels.
Well, I think that's the beauty of it is just because somebody enters and likes one aspect of the hobby does not mean that they won't soon go, hey, I want to try that, because I've done that same thing. I came in on voice, but I've tried several different modes and enjoyed them and had a good time and lots of things. I didn't ever think I'd be sitting doing twice weekly nets on Simplex, but I found it to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I do scouts every year. That's I think that pulls a little bit of interest in. I just wish we could make it, maybe could get into it with other groups other than scouts if you could find some that's interested enough to be able to do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would be done really. That's why I'm asking, because I'm thinking that some of the areas that would seem to work very well is just like we found out from Charlie, who lives up in the north end of Wilson County here. He's 13, very bright kid, and he got into the hobby. I don't remember exactly how he got in, but just took to it with a storm because he found it extraordinarily interesting and fun. I don't expect everyone to be interested. Like everybody's not interested in what I'm interested in either. You know what I'm saying? Is it? But there's so many aspects of this hobby. It can be a lot of fun no matter what. Even if you pick one, just an obscure thing, just doing digital alone, period. Or you just wanted to do DMR, or just wanted to do, Echo Link or whatever. Just there's so many different avenues you can take in this hobby that make it a lot of fun. Anybody else have any other ideas about how we would even getting in touch with? I'm guessing that with 105 people are on the mailing list, with connections to key people, whether it's in schools or any of those places, really. I mean, schools or Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all those, any of the other youth organizations, because I'd like to look forward towards. Obviously, we're not going to be sitting here homebound for the next 10 years. At least I hope not. I'll be either I don't know what I'll be in 10 years, but you know what I'm saying is things are going to be opening up here at some point, and we're going to have a lot more stuff going on. And I really think that people may even get all bummed out about being on their smartphones and internet all day long and television.
JC9ETS comments?
Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a kid in grade school, and they have these things called STEM classes
STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, and it's sort of kind of extracurricular, and some of them are summer school type programs, but the kids can do like electronics class or hands-on mechanical type things, and my boys always enjoy doing that stuff. And I don't know who runs it, if it's based on the school board or what. I can try to find out, but maybe reaching out to some of those types of groups.
Yeah, and actually, if you had some access, and again, I'm not. That's what's interesting about. I've dealt with not-for-profit groups like this, not just in ham radio, but also in the profession I was in their engineering things, in getting volunteers like yourself. I'm simply asking if you could do that. That'd be great. But and I'm sure that we could find people who could appropriately lead some sort of short introductory class, or just some to groups like that, to get them interested and see if there is interest. Even Charlie, who was, I don't know if you've met Charlie on the air, but he even expressed an interest in starting a club at his junior high school. And I don't know, I ought to call and ask him about that.
Yeah, very good. I'll see what I can find out. I mean, I also remember back when I was in high school, we had different electronics classes and things. I don't know if they still teach trades in high schools or what goes on these days, but maybe that's another way.
Oh yeah, well, I do feel that kids today, they're doing a little, at least at the schools that I'm familiar with, and that's not all that many these days. My youngest son is 30 something, 30, 35, maybe 34. I forget what year he was born. But when I went to school back in the dark ages, and I was just looking at something I made in sheet metal shop in the junior high school I went to. Every year for those 3 years, 7th, 8th, and 9th, we had, I don't remember what order they were in, but I believe first year was you had wood shop and sheet metal shop, and then the second year you had electric shop and machine shop, I think. And then we had print shop and drafting. That's right. Those were the other two. Print shop, we actually had a printing press, and had to learn how to do printing, and for like newspapers, magazine kind of stuff, laying out print and setting things up, and also in drafting. And I loved them. I loved them all. For guys, and now I imagine if they set that stuff up now for women, it would be fantastic to have in schools. But I just don't see that coming.
Yeah, those are my favorite classes. I took all trades classes in high school. I don't know if that's still a big thing or not, but that was a good way to learn all kinds of things.
Comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Oh, Brian's trying to check in.
Brian, are you up there? Hendersonville, Brian, or North Wilson County, Brian?
Hendersonville,
KA3CTP. How are you doing?
Oh, real well. I hear you kind of scratchy, but you're definitely better than you were that one time.
That's a backhanded compliment if I ever heard one. Your signal is very low. But bro, are you copying him any better, Michael?
Yeah, I hear him pretty well.
Okay, you're in a different position than I am, but I guess I'd have to ask somebody down at my level down here, because he's pretty, not terrible, just he's readable, just a little weak.
I can hear him tonight. I normally can't even hear him, so he's doing good tonight for me.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you. He's 2 meters is very good tonight, quite honestly. And Brian, appreciate you being in there. You've been out of town, I take it.
I've just been kind of tied up on all these stuff. Been on all these nets.
No, that's all right. There's no, us. The only rule we have is there's no rules.
Well, that's a good thing. Not much of a rule. It's been kind of slow. We got a lot of other stuff. Ended up with a leak in the ceiling of the garage. I had to redo all that.
Oh boy. Yeah, well, I'm sure you heard about my woes over here with trees and roofs and fences. Oh my, what a mess. And anyways, all fixed, more or less. It's on the way being fixed up anyway. Well, good to have you in there, Brian. That's Brian. And by the way, he's in Hendersonville, Kilo Alpha 3, Charlie Tango Papa. Do I get that backwards again? It is Charlie Tango Papa, right?
Oh yeah, you got it right this time. I mean, must have something happened when your antenna came down the second time. Maybe it jogged everything.
Yeah, just straightened my head right out. Anyway, I'll say it again. Kilo Alpha 3 Charlie Tango Papa, and Brian's in Hendersonville. He hasn't been on for a while. I just thought he was out of town, but he just said he's being lazy and got other things going on there. Anyway, really good to have you in there, Brian. Good to hear from you. But again, back to that STEM issue. We hear a lot about STEM, and that's one of the odd things about, to me, about the education system. They would like to see more females in the STEM classes, but even now at the university level, I think it's only about 10 or 15% of the students are females. I know that when I worked in the engineering side of things, I only met a couple, and in 35 years, I met only a couple active mechanical, electrical, civil engineers that were not male. I found it odd, really, but it just seems like women don't seem to gravitate towards that, toward that kind of thing. I don't know, it's just the nature of the difference in the sexes or what, but that's been my conclusion right along, is that women tend to gravitate towards things that are less, not that they're, because really women are no dumber than men, and they're often smarter than men. They just don't gravitate towards the non, they gravitate towards more people issues, I'll say, rather than numbers and engineering kind of stuff. Anyway, any other, I'm trying to think of what else we could attack at a young people's level that would be helpful, because we can really, even getting people interested in what's on the air. And of course, the other part of the issue and part of the solution, and just even I believe that we have our part of the solution just as we sit, because if somebody, and I've heard, and many of you have experienced the same thing, or you have heard the same complaint. Somebody will say, and I've heard it more than a few times here in Mount Juliet, they'll say, I got a radio and I'm listening and I'm not hearing anybody on the air. Now, this is a while ago. And that was kind of discouraging to them. And that's one of the reasons I started the net here, is because I was not hearing anybody, but I wanted to hear people in the circle of Wilson County. I'll be specific. That's what I was looking for, Mount Juliet, Wilson County. And then we ended up with doing what we've done. And now we've got a whole group of people all over. I don't know how many counties it is, 6 or 7 or 8, over, in a 45 or 50-mile radius around me. And it's not limited to that, of course. So what I'm really saying is that being on the air is one way that attracts people. It makes people go, oh, so there are people out there talking on ham radio, and they're there fairly regular. And I've got, even if they're not on the air with a license yet, they have a scanner, or they bought one of those $20 Bowfangs, and they're listening, and they go, huh, there's people talking. And maybe I do want to get a license. Because if we're not on the air, there's not much to talk about.
Comment, KM4 while we're at.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Since we had all this virus thing and everything's all crazy and everything, I've heard several people say that they were going to get a license. Now, whether they'll follow through or not, who knows? But I think there's interest out there, especially after some of the current events.
Yeah, and I think the same thing happened after 9/11, and the same thing happened after, let's see, what else was there? Oh, after when I was in Florida, after they had 3 hurricanes in one season, it really tore through Florida. There was a lot more people in Florida getting licenses. So yes, events can really do that. But again, it's the same kind of issue. Getting a license, and if you don't hear anybody on the air, I mean, I can tell you, I've called out dozens and dozens of times, even on repeaters in Nashville during the day. Nobody answers. Nobody. Not even a, hey, good to hear you on the air. Bye. Or yeah, I got you. Bye. What's your name? And it's really funny, because if you're not on the air, it's not much of a hobby if we're just sitting around staring at the transceivers and the dead microphone.
KM4KXA.
4IOB.
I heard KXA first. Go ahead.
Roger. This is Robert, KM4KXA. And I was going to point this out. There's a few of us have recently gotten started with some digital modes on ICOM's D-Star. And that requires only a tech license. You do it with very inexpensive equipment, and you can talk all over the world. It really, really does open things up. Just encourage more
Yeah, no, I agree. When you say very low expense, in other words, if they buy one of the hotspots, you mean?
Roger, my D-Star station is probably a pretty nice one as they go. It's an Icon 5100 with a little USB hotspot that plugs right into my computer, and I use my internet connection. And the way it works is you actually are using your radio. You use your radio, so you talk from your radio to your hotspot. Your hotspot interfaces with software on your computer. You go out over the internet to the appropriate reflector where other people are connected, and they can be connected from all over the world.
Now I've not done that with I haven't done it with anything. I mean, I've done some Echo Link in the past, but now with D-Star, but it does require a D-Star radio to work with the hotspot.
Roger that. You do need a D-Star radio.
Yeah, that makes it. Well, I don't know how cheap are the least expensive D-Star radios now.
I don't have a handy talkie, but there are some ICOM handy talkies. I think my 5100 was around $400 or so.
Yeah, well, that could be a barrier, but that's right. You can't you just can't go on the computer without a radio or a hotspot, can you, with D-Star? I mean, it has to be either through a repeater or obviously if you went simplex with D-Star, but there's no other way to get in through the computer unless you have the hotspot. Isn't that correct?
I am not certain about that. When I did the research, Paul, I did not look at it from that perspective. That I wanted to get a radio that would do standard FM and then would also do digital. So I sort of found D-Star, and from there was able to expand it a bit. But I mean, literally, for less than $600, I can talk all over the world.
Right. That's presuming you already have a PC or a laptop. But yes, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, and I think that's true. I've not messed with them, but I think that they have hotspots that may be. I don't know if they consolidate them, but obviously you can I'm pretty sure you can use a hotspot for both D-Star. I'm not sure about Yaesu Fusion, and obviously you can do it with D-Star. But yeah, that's definitely an option. And I mean, even Echo Link, which doesn't require any in-between device. If you have an analog radio, if there's what do you call it, a Echo Link repeater available, you can use that directly, or you can just use a computer, and with a license, of course, and you can talk over Echo Link to other Echo Link users around the world. So yeah, it opens up a whole big avenue of things because Yaesu Fusion gives you the opportunity to go worldwide, as does D-Star worldwide, as does DMR worldwide. So yes, that's definitely an avenue. And I guess the only barrier, again, to that is somebody does. I don't know anybody who doesn't have a computer, but yeah, I do. No, I don't know anybody who doesn't have a computer, I don't think. But you see what I'm saying is there is some investment with a D-Star. And of course, DMR isn't any different. Echo Link is the only one that could necessarily be free by just having a computer and the software. But yeah, no, that's a good thought, though, that D-Star may be very attractive to young people.
Roger that, and it can actually be done without a computer. There's not a young person going who doesn't have a cell phone, and you can do your cell phone can be your internet gateway just as well as your computer. And frequently, there actually is not a D-Star repeater that's on the air in the Nashville area. So you use what are called reflectors, and reflectors are just nodes on the internet, or file servers on the internet that are gateways that you're accessing. Works real well.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I am still astounded by that. D-Star, I got into the hobby 15 years ago, and one of my first introductory discussions with a very experienced ham who had a D-Star, he said, "Hey, this is a great stuff, Bob." Just telling me all about D-Star. Hey, that's great. I had a handheld, and I didn't even have a rig yet. Transceiver, and I said, "Yeah, that's really interesting." And I thought, see, now D-Star's been around for 15 years. It troubles me really that there's not troubles, wrong word to say. I'm surprised there's no D-Star repeater in Middle Tennessee that I'm aware of.
AR4AC, Echo Alpha Charlie.
Okay, hold on. We have 2 more check-ins. Whiskey 4 Echo Alpha Charlie, and that's Alan in here in what do you call it, Donaldson, and I think who was the other party I just heard in there? Oh, it was KR4AZ, which is Tim down in Murfreesboro. Appreciate you both being there. Whiskey 4 Echo Alpha Charlie and Kilo Romeo 4 Alpha Zulu. Tim. By the way, we're talking about just what would be attractive to young people to get them into the hobby, because I kind of see that's where it's headed, because well, it needs to be headed that way, because we can't just have, an average age in the hobby is 70 years old and think that's a great idea, because young people are the fuel for, well, everything actually. But Robert, you hear what I'm saying though? It is, to me, it seems odd, really odd, that one of the major clubs hasn't put up a D-Star repeater and kept it there.
Actually, they did have one up, and the amateur radio club in Nashville had one up and lost their tower space, so they had to take it down. And as it turns out, that we went the reflector route. Several of us did, because there was not a repeater. At first, we thought we would maybe use a repeater, and since there were none, when we went with the hotspots and reflectors. And you can do them from your car as well. So a repeater really is not necessary. And I'm guessing that the D-Star repeater business, as the hotspots get more and more refined, will die out. But the D-Star repeater is actually an ICOM product that you buy from ICOM, and the reflector software is software that runs on a Linux file server that you source from ICOM. And D-Star is an ICOM proprietary protocol. But Kenwood puts it on some of their radios and pays a royalty over to ICOM.
Right. I'm with you. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It just surprised me that, because if you look on the, I think it's the dstar.org site, or I forget what it is now, but I've looked and you can see the number of repeaters around the country, and it just seemed odd that there was a void here in Middle Tennessee, because Atlanta had them, and I can't tell you all the cities that had them, but you're right. If you have a hotspot, again, you have to be near a hotspot. But anyway, I don't want to get too bogged down in the details. I'm just saying that it'd be great to introduce those things to young people, and do it in a way that we don't, in our case, while we're a club, we don't have a clubhouse, so it's not like we can have I guess I'd like to invite young people to, when we start breakfasts again, and get them involved and maybe do some short demonstrations with those kinds of things.
Roger that. One more thing, and that'll end my 2 cents worth. To see you can always see who is logged in and running D-Star by going to the website www.dstarusers.org. That'll list anybody that's logged in right now.
Oh yeah, that was probably one of those. That was a good one. dstarusers.org. Yes, I've seen that as well. No, D-Star is a good system. It's just that I guess the real barrier is you can buy a Bofang for $20. You can buy a relatively inexpensive Yaesu, ICOM, or a Linko or Kenwood handheld, for 100 and change, good 2-meter or 70 centimeter, or even a dual band for a couple $100. And then you talk about a D-Star handheld. Now, I don't remember how much those are, but they're upwards of, I'll just say they're more than 300. Would that be a correct statement?
I've not looked into it. I don't know.
Oh, anyway, so we just know that. I know the Kenwood one, I think, is somewhere around $400 if my memory serves me correct. I've never had a D-Star rig, so I'm a poor person to be talking about it, other than I'm just familiar with in basics what it does. But anyway, anybody have any ideas about drawing people, maybe going to the science, because there's a science fair there at the science, what is that called, Science and Technology Center downtown, not downtown, but South Nashville.
W4AWE.
Hey John, go ahead. Oh, by the way, before you jump in there, I heard Jack in there. He had something to say, and I passed right by him.
Yeah, I was reading the other day that there's a rock star, or there's a girl that's a singer in a rock band in Japan, and in one of her songs she sings about ham radio, and it's piqued the teenagers' interest in Japan. So maybe that's what it would take over here.
Well, yeah, and I think Japan, if you looked at the stats, they've got more repeaters, more users per capita than the United States does for about the same population. I mean, did you ever notice that about how many licensed hams there were in Japan, and how many repeaters? Like like you with the ASU Fusion, it seems like they got a repeater every block.
KE4TWI.
Hey, Wes, you're number 33 tonight. KE4TWI in Watertown. You're at home now?
Yeah, just wanted to check in last minute.
Yeah, very good. We were just talking about what would be attractive to young people and what we would have to do to attract more young people. And we've had several great ideas. And maybe you're a good person to ask. How hard would it be or would it be appropriate to talk to someone in the science department, either at the high school or would it be better at the school board level?
Probably at a school level. I'll get on it. Out of some people. We'll have to get them licensed first, get them interested. It's got to trickle down.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I'm just saying that I think that's one of the biggest problems that ham radio has is attracting people in, and so often it's people as they grow older and they have money, they get into the hobby when you don't really need to have a whole lot of money these days to at least jump in at the simplex level or handheld level or echo link level or all of those things that are relatively simple. I don't know anybody who's jumped. Well, yes, I have to. Most people don't jump into hand radio and think, I think I'll spend $1,000, $5,000 on a rig and $5,000 on tower and antenna. I don't know anybody who's done that. Maybe you do, but I don't. Anyway, all right, that was Wes. I'm back to Jack. Did you finish, Jack? I'm sorry. ILV, Jack.
Yeah, that's all I had to say.
Okay, very good. Let's see, who else? Do we have somebody else in there after Jack? I passed. Oh, is there John? There you are, W4AWE.
Yeah, I believe ham radio usually looks for the wrong place for the answer to the problem. The problem is not cell phones or video games. In fact, my experience is young people now know much more about tech than my group when I was growing up. And what I've also discovered is pretty much every young person has heard of ham radio. I mean, it's mentioned pretty often on the show Stranger Days on Netflix, which is very popular with young people. But I've also discovered young people all pretty much have a preconceived negative idea about ham radio based on having listened to it at one time or another. They find it's full of a bunch of old, angry white guys, just like Mr. Wilson on the Dennis the Menace show, that want to talk about their brand of politics and religion, and that drives them away. And, the wisest elder I ever met, who's now a silent key, told me long ago when I was dabbling in ham radio in engineering school, and he just said, you may not realize this now, but if you want to have a really productive, fun experience in ham radio, here's my best advice. Stay away from religion and politics, and you'll meet far more interesting people. I think basically we're a group that shoots itself in the foot.
Yeah, I think you're right. Not more often than not, but I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on the air, particularly on the, in HF where, well, it's just there's a little bit more rude behavior. I don't hear too much of that on 2 meters, and I'd like to think here on on what we do on simplex, at least on this frequency, is try to keep it a little upbeat and interesting, and just taking an interest in one another's activities rather than beating people over the head with politics or religion.
But I have discovered the interest really is there. In fact, some of the most popular young-oriented YouTube channels on Tech TV are channels where people are playing with and hacking SDRs. So the knowledge is there. It's just once they get, and I've met so many young people, especially in engineering school, who'll get a license, and then after they'll listen in on 80 meters at night or 2 meters during the day and go, wow, I just don't even want to talk to these people.
Yeah, no, I get it. I hope we're not freaking perceived that way here on 415.
But, the simple advice is it always helps anyone to take a good look in the mirror first before you go looking to blame something outside.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. No, I know that there's a lot more tech savvy, and when I say tech savvy, at least from what I've seen, is that and everyone else has too, is that you'll get a 10-year-old who knows how to set up a PC or write a program that 40-year-olds can't, or 50-year-olds. People. I mean, I didn't grow up with a PC. I didn't see a laptop until the 90s, 91 or so. I had some computers before that, but they weren't what we have now. They were commercial grade building management computers. So different whole thing altogether. But you see what I'm saying is that we've got a whole, like you said, a whole bunch of people that are tech savvy, and it's just not transferring over to amateur radio. At least I don't think it is. Maybe it's more so than I know, but I don't. I just think it's a fun hobby, and it's a great hobby, and you meet a lot of great people. And I'm hoping that other young people do too. Does anybody have any other final comments before we move on? Well, very good. I think we got a little bit of headway, if that's such a thing. We're not trying to be the be-all, end-all for amateur radio for Tennessee, but I'd love to see some more local people involved, more kids. We really do have a good, big group here of competent ham radio operators and competent technical people, and I just like to see that transferred over to more, if not young people, just more people, period. And just being on the air is a good start. I mean, I think we collectively have managed to get a lot of airtime, and as far as I'm concerned, having even today like 33 check-ins on a Wednesday night. Of course, it's not a work night for everybody, but to have 33 check-ins on a Simplex Net is simply astounding to the people I talk to. Over the years, it's rare to have that kind of a thing unless you're doing like some of the clubs have a multiple check-in, or some of the Aries nets have a multiple check-in. So. And that's usually on repeaters. It's not Simplex. So it's really a credit to everybody on the net who's improved their systems to get up on Simplex and have a good time. Hopefully have a good time. But anyway, let's do this. Again, we talked about several things, about the digital modes and getting young people involved, and getting even fox hunts, or getting discussions in schools. And just I'd love to hear more. I'll put out a little blurb on the email site to see if we can generate a little more activity. I don't want to go crazy, but I still think that, just like the Simplex Net started out pretty small, so could some avenues of getting other people in the hobby, especially young people, might start out small and hopefully work out big. So we've got the 10-meter net following. Does anybody have any questions, final comments, or conclusions, or think it's all a bad idea?
WD4BWC.
Hey, I hear Jeff checking in. Good. I'm glad you're there. How you doing?
And I just wanted to check in on I was listening to your talk about bringing young people, and I agree with that 100%. Like I said, back in the day, or before all this went south, I used to help at the Boy Scout camp, and we did the training and get their merit badge. So hey, you might get a few from there too,
Oh yeah, well, some of it is just. I think a lot of it is. I mean, the seed for amateur radio for me was planted very young. I just was never able to jump feet first. Life got getting away in a big way through my life, but I did end up in amateur radio. So I'm not sure if that seed was planted by an amateur way back when I was very young. I was probably 7 or 8 years old, maybe not even that old. I'm not sure. I remember just seeing all that gear and thinking it was the greatest thing in the world, and then having him talk to all over the country from a mobile radio in his 55 Chevy just blew my mind. That was something I wanted to do. And I never had the money, the time, and the energy, I guess, to do it until I was 50 something. But anyway, Jeff, good to have you in there. That's your number 34 tonight. Well, I'm good. We're going to jump right into the 10-meter net, unless there's any other final comments. Very good. I appreciate all the input. Really, I didn't know if that topic was going to be of any interest to anybody, but I think it is, and I'm glad that others had some interest in it. Like I said, we had a good group tonight. Let's do this. Going to close this portion of the net out with 34. Appreciate all the check-ins, and we're going to jump right over to 28.415 on 10 meters upper sideband. We're going to do that right now. This is K4PEW closing this portion of the net. Very good. This is Kilo 4 Papa Echo Whiskey. Kilo 4 Papa Echo Whiskey with the Mount Juliet Simplex Radio Net. Let me make a little space here. All right, very good. We're on the 10-meter net here. We're taking check-ins in the same order as we did earlier. We're starting from the west. Please come now. KN4 TJF, you checked in successfully on 10 meters. You're doing a great job, Rick. That's Rick in Ashland City. Who else is next? West. Anybody else west? All right, I got John in there. Whiskey 4 Alpha Whiskey Echo. There was another party in there, please. Who else was west?
Kilo Michael, Yankee Romeo Foxtrot.
KM4 YRF. That's Michael in Bellshire. Anybody else west? Nothing else west. Anybody hearing anything west that I'm not?
KG4 ILV.
Ah, very good. KG4I. Maybe I ought to need a little more time in starting a net. As everybody's tuning up their radios, I guess. Very good. That's Jack and Donaldson. Kilo Golf 4 India Lima Victor. Who else is west? Anybody? Down to the south then. Please come now. Ah, very good, Donnie. Good to have you in there. It's Donnie, Kilo 4 Oscar Foxtrot Oscar. Who else? South? Is any south that I'm not hearing? Anybody south, please come now. There'll be a chance later. Anybody east, please come now. Anybody east of Mount Juliet, please come now.
Echo 4 Delta Echo Zulu Earl and Corey.
Ah, very good. You got Earl and Noreen, Kilo Echo 4 Delta Echo Zulu. Anybody else south or east?
Kilo Bravo 4 Romeo Sierra Mike.
Ah, very good. Kilo Bravo 4 Romeo Sierra Mike. Excellent signal there, Glenn. Of course, you're not that far. How's my signal to you?
Right now you're 20 over.
Ah, well, very good. Yeah, 20 over, and I still have a bent radial from my other antenna falling on it. You know, during the last, well, second storm. I'm not sure if there's going to be a third one. Who else is south or east? Please come down. All right, up to the north then, north of Mount Juliet. Please come down. Very good. I've got Frank in there. Kilo 4. Man, I forgot what you call it. Isn't that terrible? Kilo 9. Dang. Kilo Bravo 9. Man, I get my numbers right here and say Kilo Bravo 9. Romeo Kilo. You get my brain screwed on straight here. That's Frank. And here in Northwest Wilson. Anybody else north or east?
David Whitehouse.
David, I think it was a quadruple in there, but I had David in White House, and David, that's gosh, let me get the call straight in my brain here. That's KO4 CD Charlie Delta Papa, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Very good. That's David in White House, Kilo Oscar 4 Charlie Delta Papa, and there was a couple other stations in there. Please come now.
Kilo Charlie 9 Echo Tango Sierra.
Ah, very good. We got Paul here in Mount Juliet, Kilo Charlie 9 Echo Tango Sierra. Well, there was another. I know there was at least another one in there.
Whiskey Bravo 0 November Oscar Oscar.
Ah, very good. We did have Mark in there. Whiskey Bravo 0 November Oscar. Gave it in the right order of call and then name. Anybody else east or north?
Robert in Goodlettsville.
Ah, KN4KXA, Robert in Goodlettsville. Who else? There was another station in there too, please. Was somebody else in there besides Robert? Oh, I could have sworn there was one more station. Okay, then late check-ins on the 10-meter net, please. No other stations on 10 meters? Is anybody copying anything I can't? All righty. Well, I'll do a recap from the bottom and worked my way up to the top. We had Robert, Kilo November 4, Kilo X-Ray Alpha, Robert, and then we had Mark, Whiskey Bravo 0, November Oscar, and Paul here in Mount Juliet, Kilo Charlie 9, Echo Tango Sierra. That's another Paul, of course. And then David, Kilo Oscar 4, Charlie Delta Papa. And then who was next there? Oh, Frank, Kilo Bravo 9, Romeo Kilo, in Wilson, Northwest Wilson, and Glenn, Kilo Bravo 4, Romeo Sierra Mike, also in Wilson County in the east side of Mount Juliet. Kilo Echo 4, Delta Echo Zulu, that was Earl and Noreen. Kilo 4, Oscar, Foxtrot Oscar, Donnie here in, well, actually in Hermitage, but south of Mount Juliet. And then Kilo Golf 4, India Lima Victor, Jack and Donaldson, and Kilo Mike 4, Yankee Romeo Foxtrot. Michael in Belshire, and Whiskey 4 Alpha Whiskey Echo in Bellevue. That's John. And Kilo November 4 Tango Juliet Foxtrot. Rick over in Ashland City, who's got some recent upgrades to get on 10 meters, and bravo to him. And then, of course, me in the middle here, Kilo 4 Papa Echo Whiskey, and I think that was 13. Any late check-ins? Nothing heard. You guys are welcome to stick around and chat or move over to the 415 FM frequency, but closing out the net at this time. Have a great night. K4PEW, and appreciate all the check-ins.
KN4 TJS, KM4OY.